Welcome back, everybody, to the Intel X3 Masters World Championship, where we are about to head into the last game of the day. Of Gambit will take the stage and try to remain in the competition here in Katowice as they play WE. So let's take a look at the bracket, see all the action that we have behind us already and all the action that is still coming our way today and in the following days. We'll get the bracket on screen in just a second.
Well, I have something prepared that I do want to touch on. With Team Solo Mid going 2-0 in the group stage, they joined the GE Tigers as the highest placed seed in the semifinals. What we already know from seeing Group A earlier today is Team Solo Mid is going to face either SK Gaming, rematch from Worlds, or the Yowie Flash Wolves. We'll find out which of those teams tomorrow. What this game is going to determine is to remove one of the potentials who will face the GE Tigers. So we're about to watch World Elite versus Gambit. The winner gets the opportunity to play against CJ Enters tomorrow, and the winner gets the opportunity to lose to GE Tigers tomorrow.
And CJ Enters.
Maybe a little harsh, but for GE, they're going to be sitting taking notes, trying to figure out what can happen. And if you look at the theoretical forwards, I think Team Solo Mid versus GE Tigers will be the most exciting final because TSM looks so prepared for this tournament and for the Intel X3 Masters World Championship. So that's just looking ahead, and I'm quite excited for it.
All right, then looking on to this game, Gambit versus WE. Both teams not very convincing, otherwise they wouldn't be here in the elimination match, of course. What are you thinking in terms of Gambit? They have some very strong laners. I'm thinking especially of Katowice, actually, that might be able to make the difference here.
Absolutely, and you know that Gambit's a team that likes to camp the top lane, really likes to snowball him, and I feel like they really weren't unable to do so in the last match because of the champion picks. You know, the Jarvan isn't really going to be able to snowball that hard versus a Lulu, who's such a powerful pick, but against the likes of World Elite, Aluka, you know, not a good of a top laner, such a shy. Force him into a bit of a squishier champion, put Katowice in perhaps a more punishing top laner like an Aurelia, and then really take over the game from the top lane. We've seen multiple LPL teams do this. Just do this strategy, don't lane some, get the 1v1, and this should be pretty smooth sailing for Gambit.
I mean, I'm not even sure they even have to camp him. I think obviously that's a very viable strategy, Crumbs, but to the degree that we've already seen the communication not really be there for WE, they haven't really looked like they've been all on the same page. Some people going out, some people going in the middle of team fights, awkward teleports kind of across the board. So I think Gambit really has a good chance here, especially if they play a solid early game like they did earlier today.
Yeah, I think if Gambit go back to their traditional EU-LCS style of play, it should be enough to overcome World Elite. This is another one of these matchups where, because WE are playing with these substitutes again, they are a fairly low-ranked LPL team against a pretty on-form Gambit at the moment, you know? But you've got to keep in mind, Gambit, again, they do have their weaknesses. They do sometimes go very oddball in picks and bans, so that could definitely hurt them if World Elite have prepared enough in terms of this matchup.
Now, I'm going to go out on the limb and say that, you know, we felt like TSM felt really prepared against CJ, not so much, especially not even confident against World Elite, but that's because they had a lot of an X factor with these new players, very difficult to determine who they're going to be picking, what the style is going to be, especially having been announced so late. Now, this makes me to believe that Gambit will have a much easier time, and that World Elite showing had a lot of the lack of preparation from TSM, and that's why they looked like, you know, they were putting up a fight, just because TSM had no idea what to expect. CJ has endless VODs as to their play, and now that Gambit has a general idea as to the style that World Elite is going to showcase here, I feel like they'll have a much better time than what TSM showed against World Elite.
Yeah, we will see for World Elite, maybe an adaptation has to come in for the picks in the mid lane. As we know that there's a sub there in Shea. Diana didn't really work out. Didn't work out for Fox either in summoner spells. I feel like that should be a serious adaptation to this one, Monty.
Yeah, I hope we don't get to see the double teleport again. It caused too much of an imbalance in that early game, and you know, playing that passively against Bjergsen can really cause the team some problems. He's a very good player.
Luckily for Shea, he is up against Betsy, who is a fantastic player himself, but Betsy does not necessarily have that same... No, he doesn't have that same 1v1 ability. He's only played about 4 games in the EU-LCS, and I do really like Betsy as the game progresses, but in terms of laning, he tends to play a little safe, and unless Diamond comes to help out, he's not necessarily had the opportunity to completely out 1v1 opponents. So there's a little bit more breathing room, I feel, for World Elite, but the chips are still stacked against them. It is going to be a difficult game. They are up against a squad who... Despite the strategy not working, I like the fact that they went all in. I like the fact that they said, we need to just go completely crazy against CJ, because if we don't, we feel they'll outplay us. Hopefully they've got something equally interesting to punish World Elite's weaknesses.
Yeah, we did talk a lot about Spirit before the last game, and here it's very interesting once again because it's Diamond up against Spirit. They both like to brawl and see. In this one, maybe can Spirit pull it more ahead? It'll be even harder though.
Well, I'm not sure. Maybe he will have a few more opportunities in this game, just because I do think that TSM had that very well planned early game against Spirit that made his movement so very visible on the map, and they played around him very beautifully. So if Diamond and the rest of Gambit don't have that setup, he may have more of a carry potential in this one.
Well, honestly, with the Jarvan pick, it's not that strong right now. So I feel like Gambit's plan should be very similar to TSM's early game, neutralize Spirit out of these mobility junglers, specifically the Rek'Sai, the Nidalee, go on something a little stronger like the Lee Sin, like they did, and force Spirit to take that either Jarvan or perhaps the Rengar. And honestly, I'd rather face the Jarvan than the Rengar because we know he's a really strong Rengar. But the Jarvan is a champion that needs to snowball. You have to be able to trust your lanes to carry, and we did not see any hint of that.
It's a little difficult to trust your lanes to carry when your lanes are substitutes as well. So yes, it's true that first pick Jarvan didn't work out, but the question is, how do they change it? It's one game. This is a team that is in a very difficult situation. So maybe solid lanes with a scaling option elsewhere.
Try a carry jungler instead. Instead of going for a support jungler, go for something like a Vi that can actually dish out enough damage to generate picks by herself. A Jarvan's not going to find anybody and kill them on their own, especially now that he's nerfed. He's rather easy to kill via another jungler. So go for a Vi, go for a Rengar, something that can just really take over somebody's other jungle. But to be honest, if Diamond goes with skirmishers, he's not going to be able to get caught 1v1.
We'll see. Let me pitch a theory. If we get to the mid-game and WE, as we said, they were playing a little bit of solo queue-esque, and we know that Gambit sometimes loses pace. In the mid-game, might they be thrown off? I can see Gambit actually losing their footing because of the craziness of WE.
I want to jump on this, and I actually think that's a great point. I think there's two things that play into World Elite's favor. Gambit have not been known to have the same sort of strategic warding that you would need to counter Spirit. TSM had a great strategy. They had multiple members moving and warding up. I don't know if Gambit will be able to, or if they've realized that they can do that. So we'll see. That's number one. Number two, Gambit as a team have also had difficulty closing games. I think they've got fantastic individual players, and they tend to do very well in the early game to mid game. But once you have to push and get a little bit more strategic with your movements, this is one of the areas that the team's been working on over the last 3 weeks. Part of the reason that their winning streak came to an end is because teams realized you can just drag it to the mid to late game and then start to punish some of Gambit's weaknesses. So for World Elite, again, strong lanes, stall, play late, maybe you can wait to punish a team's misplay.
And not only that, but to go back to what we were talking about earlier, maybe that is why you take out some of Veluka's tanks in this meta, because that could be a big difference maker in the late game, is that if they can't close fast enough, it does shore up, I think, maybe some of Gambit's weaknesses by saying, okay, we're not going to let them have any hyper tanks so that they won't get ridiculously unkillable in the late game and maybe have a chance to get back into it.
I agree with that, but for the other reason that the hyper tanks are just a lot harder to kill in the laning phase. Force him onto something that is like, for instance, the Gnar versus Aurelia matchup. Gnar in the mini form, very easy to kill, especially with the Aurelia true damage. That really long 2-second stun opens Gnar up for getting ganked quite a bit, so you can really punish that one, unlike the Maokai, who's got the twisted advance, so you can't gank him from behind, Arcane Smash, push him behind you, or the Sion, who just frankly is the hardest of them all to kill.
Yeah, we will see now for the last time that we're going to go over to Chobra as he's going to introduce us to our teams.
Thank you very much, Shocks. It's getting late at night. It's the last game of the day, but it's not time for your lullaby just yet. We still have one more match left in the day, and it's going to be the losers match of Group B. Once again, we're going to sadly say goodbye to one of these teams, and one team will get a chance at redemption here at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. Then first up, our team fighting for that redemption will be coming from China, Team WE! And their opponents, one of the Intel Extreme Masters favorites, will be none other than Gambit Gaming. Well, it's time for our last League of Legends match of day one here in Katowice, back at the expert desk.
Thank you very much, Chobra. I wonder if they're also getting a bit tired. It's been a long day for these guys.
It's been a long day for everybody.
Yeah.
Shocks. I do want to touch on something very quickly. It's something that I was actually talking to Monte Cristo about in Gambit's previous game. Pinoy is absolutely in love with Kalista at the moment. He's playing it almost any opportunity in EU LCS. And I bring it up because World Elite lost to M3 about a week ago with STYZ, with their standard AD carry, because Yishay was disrespecting level 2 all-ins and simply fell behind a Kalista lane over and over and over. Earlier today, Mystic and Yishay, they lost in the 2v2 again at level 4. And this is a duo lane that, as a team, has been weak even before the substitution. And Pinoy is a very aggressive guy. Edward is a very aggressive guy. Considering Eddie's slightly subpar performance earlier, they may be able to prove something.
Yeah. WE lost to M3. That's only 2 numbers different from M5. M5 is now Gambit, and it was singed all along. As I said, it's been a long day.
There's no way we can follow that.
No, anyway, Gambit is red in this one, so WE is on the blue side, and we'll get the first pick, first bans. Anything worthy of completely banning out? I would say go for Kawashard, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, just like the Kalista, though, as Quickshot was mentioning in terms of the laning phase, that they were failing to respect the level 2 all-in, kind of do the same with the top lane champions in terms of banning the ones that you can really exploit and playing the ones that can take advantage of that. So, I mean, I'm still going to side with the fact that I think they should be banning the Maokai and the Scion and forcing a really punishing top lane like the Aurelia. And if I was World Elite, I don't want to ban that too.
All right, we'll find out what they decide to ban out as we jump into picks and bans. World Elite are on the blue side for this matchup with Gambit Gaming in their home colors on the red side. Straight out the gate, Kennen is taken off the table by World Elite, and an instant reply of Ezreal followed by Zed. I think that's a great choice. I'm a big fan of Betsy Zed, and obviously earlier today, well, TSM went a bit crazy with that Zed pick as well.
Yeah, indeed, really picking it up right there, and interesting that they're taking out the Kennen this early on, so not confident in their ability to actually kite it out here. And Maokai eliminated from Aluka as well. Are they going to take another tank out of the pool, or are they going to challenge Spirit? The Ezreal a bit weird as well, considering that was mostly Ninja's pick on WE.
Yeah.
Well, Aluka says, Spirit, you're not getting job, and it actually fans it out from World Elite. Interesting, because Diamond plays Rek'Sai, plays Nidalee, showed he played Lee Sin earlier. I'm not sure I like that job and ban.
Yeah.
Some really weird bans
But
coming
maybe
out of
it's
this one.
targeting Kawashard. Let's be fair, targeting Kawashard, he played a top lane earlier.
That's true.
Let's remember that.
But letting Spirit go with the Rek'Sai, you know, he's shown so much prowess in these really up-and-coming junglers with the Rek'Sai and the Nidalee that you're taking a big risk here. Now, it seems almost obvious that I think Diamond would want to take the Nidalee in response, seeing as both are still up. But the Nidalee against the Rek'Sai matchup is still not the best one in terms of a 2v2 in the top lane, which, you know, may be leading to think that perhaps they don't want to focus the top lane in terms of a 2v2 scenario and just want to leave Kawashard to go in the 1v1 and punish Luca that way. And if they take that Morgana top, well, we know that can be an ambiguous pick and the Nidalee locked in right from the get-go.
Yeah, for Gambit, though, it is traditionally for Kawashard in the top lane. Eddie has played Morgana in the past, but again, not really his style of champion. And Kawashard was one of the first in Europe to use it successfully. So a little bit of a flex in there. However, I do expect that to be for Kawashard.
We'll have to see. We do have a Jax hover right now, but I think the Janna going to be the safer bet here. And will we see Gia go with that Diana one more time? Again, a little bit of a blind pick right there. Could be pretty risky to lock that one in so early. It's very strange that we're seeing this really big emphasis on Diana from WE.
I mean, World League must have been screaming SK, and they must have been first picking Diana every single time because, you know, especially this odd combination of going with the Diana and the Janna. Diana, a champion that wants to get into the backline, and Morgana, one that doesn't allow that. Without the Maokai for Aluka, you know, what engaged champion are they going to be using? You know, I don't think a Hecarim is going to be strong enough to facilitate the Diana to get into the backline successfully, specifically if he's against a top lane Morgana who's going to constantly shove in the Hecarim, and on top of that, the AP is going to really make that Black Shield nice and fat, and it's not going to allow the Diana Q or R to honestly break it just instantly.
We'll have to find out how World Elite decide to round out their team composition. 2 picks still to come in for Gambit. They're running the clock down just a little bit. Betsy, known for playing as assassins. LeBlanc still up, Ari still up if he wants to go for the comfort route. Pinoy locking in Graves. He used Graves to take down Counter Logic Gaming December of last year at IEM Cologne. Crepo actually coined killing double lift with collateral damage, going Pinoy. So we'll see whether or not.
That's it. You know, we have a lot of plays in League of Legends, whether it's the insect, but now it's killing specific players with specific abilities.
Correct. It was very clear because Pinoy did actually, you know what, he stepped up. He surprised a lot of people and he had a phenomenal series of games. Unfortunately, wasn't able to replicate it as much throughout the year, but comfort pick locked in, and then Betsy going back to the Twisted Fate as well.
As we suspected, the Hecarim, however, makes me think that they're actually going to go through with it just because it would really hurt the lineup of Gambit because they've chosen to go with the Twisted Fate. Now, TF being highly immobile and a champion that could find it difficult to gank the Hecarim, especially with the Morgana, because you find yourself now in a situation having triple AP threats if you commit to the Morgana in the top lane. And, you know, I don't want to see the Morgana be going top lane. Now, unfortunately, what's going to happen is playing against the Sivir Janna lane, you may find yourself struggling, seeing as how they struggled into the COG Nami lane before they came online at level 6. I wouldn't be surprised if the World Elite bottom lane would be able to push in the Gambit bottom lane. I'd much rather see a split push threat here.
Keep in mind, Cabochard could pull a surprise pick and lock in a top lane champion, put that Morgana into support. 20 seconds left before they lock it in. World Elite have definitely got a run you down team composition together.
A very heavy engage composition all around. So WE, I mean, if they can get that proper engage off, then they may be able to make something work right here. Of course, Gambit is a little more immobile in what they're running at the given time, and that's going to be a Thresh lock.
And I gotta say, I much prefer the World Elite draft here, specifically just because the Nidalee, like, I feel like the Gambit lineup could really use a tank, and I feel like with the Morgana, you're not making the best of one of your biggest mismatches in this game. Cabochard is known to be a great top laner, and Aluka not so much. You're putting him in a Morgana who just doesn't have as much kill pressure as an Aurelia, as perhaps a Jax almost. And, you know, it's a little disheartening to see that they're not sticking to their strength. Yeah,
and we do see the TP coming again in the mid lane, and that's going to be pushed in early. I mean, TF is able to clear those waves really fast in the early game. It may be quite a big issue.
Yeah, risky draft coming in here for Gambit. We'll see if they can pull it off right after this.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships for our final game of the day. Team WE taking on Gambit. I am, of course, Joe Miller, joined by Doa and Deficio. What do we think to the lineups here in this one? We were just discussing that the WE team may be very much all in, except the Janna pick, which doesn't maybe fit to that.
No, that's very true. Janna doesn't really fit with the comp. Annie Leona would have made sense. Annie, of course, was banned away in this case here. It's not like Janna is a bad pick, however, even in a very hard engaged composition, will add some protection at least from your backline. But it's a very standard Gambit composition, honestly. A lot of skirmish potential. You can make some aggressive plays on every single champion here. We know Eddie loves to play the Thresh. And also you have some AoE wombo in the team fight, which they like to use. Once they create one pick or get an advantage before Dragon, they just wombo together and destroy you.
Turn up. Well, here we go, guys. Welcome for the last time tonight to Summoner's Rift. WE versus Gambit Gaming. Loser goes home. Winner moves on to day 2 here at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships. And we've seen some interesting picks over the course of the day, haven't we? A couple TFs now, a couple Dianas, some little bit unorthodox stuff.
Yeah, and teleport in the mid lane again for World Elite here. I like it more against the Twisted Fate because he doesn't have the same kill pressure as a Zed will have in the one-on-one lane, and now it allows you to follow Betsy around at least one of the times where he's ulting away, so it does make a bit more sense here. Still, when you run double teleport, you really need good communication and synergy as a team. And this is 2 new players, 2 Koreans, 3 Chinese guys. It's going to be tough pulling off proper teleports in this game.
Yeah, very true. And they're going to be doing it twice as much, potentially. I think the toughest thing in this game for me is going to be pronouncing WE's mid and support players' names.
Give it a go, Doa. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I talked to our translator, Rachel, and she was trying to help me. So the mid laner is Xia, I believe, and the support player would be Yusa, maybe.
I don't think she told you that.
It was one of those.
It
was one of those things. No, it was one of those things where I was trying, and she kept being like, "No, that's not it." We went through it a bunch of times.
Just call it Janna.
Janna.
It's a beautiful name anyway.
W.E. Janna.
And Eddie is too cool for school, so no trinket for him.
Yeah.
On this Thresh here, not really sure why he didn't notice, or his teammates didn't notice.
On the positive side, no boots either.
That's true. That is true.
Yep.
We did give that idea out earlier on about, you can buy your friends trinkets at the start of games just so that, if they happen to miss it. But that feature we thought might be for the supports, not that it would help in this scenario.
We've needed it. I mean, yeah, as a support, you're the one who should be watching for other people, but Edward, he's just going to start this game without a trinket, going to go home and try to be anointed the blue buff. Meanwhile, Xia taking a lot of damage. Xia?
Second time, though, the Gambit with an early level 2 gank. They tried last game as well, where it was Eddie who got level 2 and Annie walked in there. Didn't really gain anything. This time around, they blew a flash and early push on the tower here from Gambit.
Yep, that's right. Well, I mean, early action is the name of the game for Gambit Gaming. It certainly was in their first game today against CJ. But it's interesting to see these 2 teams play each other because we kind of have, 2 unstoppable forces running at each other, essentially.
2 teams who definitely likes to fight against each other.
Yeah.
Teams also often is the strategy, honestly, for them. And we should have a fairly explosive game. I want to see how Betsy can use the Twisted Fate here, if he can set up some kills. I mean, there's some CC in the lanes. Morgana in the top lane, Thresh in the bottom lane. I would expect all the focus to be around Pinoy, though, because Morgana, she's just going to sit and farm on her own, then teleport in. And Pinoy is the guy who's going to make the big plays. He's the big carry you could use in the mid-game to really create an advantage.
So Betsy continuing on in lane. Actually, funnily enough, she decided not to use that teleport here to get back into lane.
Did he get a blue buff?
Did he
just walk down and auto-attack the blue buff once? For Gambit?
They stole the blue buff, yeah.
Wow.
Wait.
We're really on the ball for this one, aren't we?
I'll just go back and...
Well, he still has no trinket. Meanwhile, options down in the bot lane for Gambit as they try to go in onto Yisa, but not able to quite get the killing damage. Diamond a little bit low on mana anyway, so they will just push up this lane for Cabo Shard.
We still see the same tactic for Gambit, though. You notice how Diamond is always helping out Cabo Shard here, making sure he can farm early on. He's the big carry for the team. And then also your support when he clearly walks in 1 versus 2, no trinket, still didn't pick one up. And you just smack that blue buff in the face and you pick it up. I mean, that's pretty well played.
Yeah.
He hooked it.
Well, that's even better.
Yeah. Okay. We're all clear on that one. It has been a long day, guys.
Laughing at us now.
That
This is not a good sign,
that's
is
for
it?
sure. No.
No.
It's probably not a good sign, but
No,
you know,
not at all.
concentrate on all that stuff.
Luckily, all the fans are gone at this
all
point.
good. Yeah, just a couple of them watching online. Thanks for you, by the way, that have been tuning in all day. We will, of course, be here tomorrow and on Sunday, where we'll play the grand final and crown a new Intel Extreme Masters World Champion. But for now, it's all about Team WE and Gambit looking to stay in contention here, looking to stay in with a chance of moving through to playoffs.
Yeah, and just to talk about Gambit and the early start here for them, of course you got that blue buff, that was great, but also the lane swap. When you have a Morgana, she's one of the best top laners in a swap because she can sit and farm with the pool and just step back from there. And again, basically keep up pretty well. This time around, Katowice has been denied quite a lot, but Hecarim has a lot harder time farming in a lane swap itself. So I like the swap here from Gambit in that case. And I want to see if Pinoy is freezing the lane now here to really try and make it hard for Luca. He is setting up at least a small one, for him. And you can see Eddie staying in the lane, keep poking away this Hecarim, still on 12 CS. Hecarim needs a Trinity Force to really become a strong split pusher and being able to dive onto the back line and kill an AD carry in a team fight. And you deny that and delay it really by having this swap here from Gambit.
We're almost 6 minutes into the game now, and Edwards still is lacking that trinket. I'm sure he'll get it eventually. He did go back and buy boots, though. So he's got that going for him.
They actually saw Diamond coming in here. There was there's a ward on the red buff, which, you know, they've seen this coming in early enough, so I don't imagine that Spirit and Luca should get into any problems.
Diamond.
But there is the hook landing. He's gone onto Spirit this time. He's the one now that's in a little bit of trouble, but have they got the damage to finish it off? I think Luca is going to go down. Diamond going very, very low. She did, in fact, TP up into that lane, but it's Gambit that pick up first blood.
Yeah, Cabochard teleporting up there as well to help out. But in the end, Aluka, without that flash, it's tough to get away from a big dedicated gank from Gambit like that. Oh, nice chaining of the CC onto Shia. Doesn't look like they'll be able to pick up the kill, but still, that damage helps.
Really just perfect timing again here. You had the wave that was frozen at first, you kept denying farm from the Hecarim, and then as soon as you kill him, you just push the entire wave into the tower here. So he lost all the farm for himself. He has to go to the mid lane now to get something before he can go back to this top lane here. So Gambit been doing a good job trying to shut down Hecarim early. Of course, the Morgana itself can go for more utility style, where you go like Morel Normicon into cooldown reduction boots, and you're more of a supportive top laner, which would work okay for Gambit because you got Nidalee, you got TF, you got Graves. There's a lot of damage on that side. But normally when we see Cabochard play, he wants to be the carry. So he's going for like a nuke build of like Death Cabin to Void Staff and really no cooldown reduction. Of course, the Hourglass as well, and just as much burst damage as possible.
You know what? Edward has a trinket. He skipped the ward altogether, just went right for that sweeping lens at 7 minutes.
And he wants another blue buff.
That's right.
Well, he hooked the first one to steal that one away. Let's see what he does this time around. The blue pulled out here, and Spirit's going to try and keep within sight of that one, but doesn't currently have sight of it, which might be a little bit of an issue for him. Diamond on top of that one. Who's going to get it? They do manage to dive in there, but the damage is going towards Eddie. He gets knocked up as well with a Howling Gale, and they manage to pick up that kill. The blue buff, I think he actually went onto Shia there.
Yeah,
it did.
He got it when he came in. That's right. We kept an eye on that blue buff. Meanwhile, actually, Pinoy just gets the easy kill onto Aluka, apparently.
Pretty standard Pinoy play, honestly, getting random kills out of nowhere, but Gambit, their setup here was Eddie walking in with Diamond trying to take that blue buff, and Betsy came in really late with his ult team. Pinoy wasn't moving from the top lane as well, so they were kind of just splitting up and seeing if they could steal it, and that's why World Elite could collapse onto them and at least get a kill as well for it, but then Pinoy making 1-1. Let's see.
Let's check this out. Luka just walking into the tri-brush.
He's one of the few AD carries who's going to dash over the wall and just walk into the tri-brush on his own and be like, okay, what's the top laner? Smack, you're dead.
Yep.
Well, certainly caught him out, and that's what he was looking to do there, as Spirit just helping cover off this top lane, but Luca is back after his second death of the game. Not the workings of his phage, but nothing concrete at this point, as Edward continues to get a couple of deeper wards down inside of the enemy jungle.
I've got a feeling it's going to be a long time before Aluka's able to get his Trinity Force this game. It's been pretty slow going so far.
Yeah, that's, again, it was the whole tactical game with the lane swap here. Deny that Trinity Force early on at least. And we see Cabochard on his side. He's going to go for more supportive style. He will get Morel Normicon for himself on Morgana. So cooldown reduction more black shields, more bindings. That's the setup for the rest of the carries now to make the plays.
Yep, WE picking up their first dragon. First dragon of the game as well.
And really utilizing that Rek'Sai ultimate nicely there, knowing that there's no pressure on that bottom side and you just ulti over there, and pretty much a freebie actually for Team WE. Actually leaves the gold at about 400-500 difference. Spirit gets his red, and Betsy continues to farm up a bit of a storm in that mid lane. There is the first turret of the game going down, though. It goes in favor of Team WE. Mystic doing a fantastic job in that 1v1 against Cabochard. Actually, most of the damage, I think, came in when Cabochard 2P'd up to that top lane and just left Mystic completely free. Pinoy and Edward might be able to get a turret back here for Gambit, though.
And it was the focus we talked about earlier, or before the game even started. It's going to be about Pinoy here on this Graves. When you get a BF sword, it's a fantastic early spike for you. You want the strongest AD carries, and that's why Cabochard can teleport to that top lane as well. Make sure they got the kill before from that little gank we had, and that's also why they're happy enough sacrificing or trading, we can say, tower for tower, as long as Pinoy has had a good start to the game on this Graves.
He denied a lot of CS and XP from Aluka right there as well, letting the turret kill every last minion in that wave before finally finishing it off. And so far, would it be wrong for me to say that Gambit's team fighting has been, it's been looking a little bit disjointed. It hasn't looked like everyone's kind of on the same page at this point.
At least it was a bit of a misunderstanding around that blue buff, where two guys went in and two guys kind of stayed in the lane and joined a little bit too late. But 2-on-2 lanes down the top side. Spirit is up here. He wants to be part of something. Maybe we could just push it in and reset the whole thing. As Pinoy is still looking good on Graves into the Sivir. You really don't want to take any trades against the Graves with BF and pickaxe this early on.
Cabochard actually has pushed his bottom lane back out. Luca catching that one nicely. It's Edward and Diamond here waiting for a catch. Oop. And, well, he will just get a face full of Boomerang. Nothing more than that, really.
Yep, Tremor Sense helping them find Edward, and Mystic nearly getting hit with that death sentence, but I think if he would have been worried about actually being hit, he could have spell shielded it. Ooh, look at this Shia going in after Diamond in the jungle here. Actually, WE going in as well. Spirit.
TV.
Yep, there's a Chilling Smite onto Diamond. Betsy coming in as well to try to make a play here. There's a flash. The knockup doesn't hit anyone, and actually, Hecarim coming over the wall there, helping Shia pick up that kill. Meanwhile, the rest of Gambit on the run now. Pinoy, Edward, Cabochard, Edward turning around to try to get a grab off of it. It didn't quite work.
Again, for Gambit, though, here, the way they're trying to set up their fights, they don't really respect how many players from World Elite can be up here. We saw the Sivir Janna on the top side of the map. We know there's a teleport from Hecarim, obviously, to join the fight. And Betsy came in, used his combo, and was basically out of mana. Now, nice little hook.
Oh, that's a good monsoon back, though. And actually, the knock-up there onto Pinoy, they can't quite finish off Yuja. And that will be Mystic keeping them at arm's length as well. Pinoy getting dangerously close from that one. Question now is, what do they do on this top side? Can they hold on to this turret? Spirit is going to come around. They're going to go for Edward. He's out of turret range. Pinoy also being attacked here. That's a great Howling Gale. And Mystic will pick up the kill to put WE ahead on kills. And they should be getting turret number 2 as well.
Spirit did a good job of just kind of scaring Edward away and allowing them to make a very, very easy dive onto Pinoy. And so far, WE seems to be in pretty firm control of this game overall.
A good setup. They got a few D-wards down from the last fight, and TF ulti was gone. TP from Morgana was gone as well. So as soon as they got to that top lane, they knew there was no help for Gambit. And just an easy pickup for them. And Luca was there. Spirit, obviously, from the jungle as well. And honestly, Gambit has been punished for taking some fairly greedy fights or trades for certain objectives. And that's why World Elite is currently hitting gold.
Yeah.
Albeit 1,500, I mean, certainly nothing to sniff at, just 13.5 minutes into this game. As Yuja just going to go out there, ward himself up that death brush, and clear a little bit out as well. Meanwhile, Spirit visiting that mid lane, not really much for him to pick up. Betsy was playing pretty defensive and just farming off with those wild cards.
Diamond getting a pretty late tier here in Italy. Normally what you want to do is have your Hunter's Machete, and then on the first back you just go for that tier, so you really start stacking it early, because the brilliant thing is it's going to be full stack around like 17-18 minutes, and that's a massive spike for you on the Italy. But he went back first. He got Skirmisher's Saber, which is different on Italy, I think it's safe to say. And it's a thing Diamond likes to do. We need to see if he can find some one-on-one duels against the likes of Spirit. But then also he got the magazine chant before getting tier, so it's only on 50 mana at this point. It's going to be pretty late to stack up, but now he might be in trouble.
Diamond in big trouble. Shia coming in as well. Betsy able to get that gold card off. to take the pressure off of Diamond. But WE just able to walk into that jungle kind of at will.
You see a lot of magic resist already on Diana here in this mid lane. We're against Morgana, Nidalee, TF. A lot of magic damage. Only Pinoy is going to provide any kind of physical. And that's why you can go for this early on and why we see Diana so much here at IEM. She really synergizes well with the current items. And Eddie,
yeah, he's going to be in trouble. He's going to fall down straight away. And actually, Pinoy off to the side. He does have Diamond there to help him. The spear will land on Shia. And there is Cabochard coming in. He's actually going to be out of range in the end. The Monsoon will knock them back. And Mystic goes onto the killing spree. He'll be picked off by Diamond. But Shia really doing a good job of cleaning up. But he's pulled into tower range there. Has to flash away. There's the slow on Tayuja. Pinoy comes in as well. And 3 men for WE left super low after that one.
Yeah, but a successful team fight at the end of the day. They got a little bit of damage done on that tier 2 as well. And Gambit still being kind of shoved around the map right now a little bit. It's getting quite worrisome at this point.
Yeah, tough for him to get into this fight here. They came for like every flank. Betsy came down from the bottom. Let's see, tower goes down. Eddie gets caught out and dies early on. And this Diana pick, we just mentioned how tanky she is with this early magic resist. So good ulti from Cabochard at first, forcing Worldly to back away. But notice here, Betsy coming with no mana at this point. He has a blue buff, but no real mana else to do anything. And it's just Gambit coming from multiple sides, not really finding the right targets for them. And in the end, have to give up quite a few kills and a mid tower.
Yeah, that's true. Dragon is up. And we'll see if possibly WE can pick up their second one of the game right now. They've increased their gold lead to about 3K, which isn't bad at all. Spirit just kind of biding his time. He's been there for a lot of kills this game. Well, technically half of them. 50%, I suppose.
That is a half in some circles.
If he gets one more, then I can say most, at least.
That Dragon here being pink warded out nicely by WE. There is still a ward inside of the Death Brush, which they've not currently scanned and don't actually have any available for that, and no more pink wards left over, so we'll see what Gambit do. It looks like they might just be giving this one up here. WE already starting it off. They're pinging onto Cabochard in that mid lane, so WE gonna get Dragon number 2 of the game. Gambit nowhere in sight.
Yeah, way too many wards being placed already by World Elite. Nice setup here, and of course when you run the likes of Hecarim, Diana, Severe ulti, if Gambit tries to come in and they can't really see what's going on, that's a very easy engage for World Elite to just dive onto Gambit there and win the team fight. So they made the right decision in backing away from this Dragon, but still a problem because now World Elite sitting on 2 dragons, 17 minutes in there, hitting gold. They got 3 towers to 1 as well. They've been doing really well in the early game and really punishing Gambit for the plays they've made.
Yeah, so where do they go from here? I want to ask you. I mean, because they've got the entire outer ring of turrets down. Their siege is not the best, obviously, with this composition.
Pretty
so
terrible.
do you just kind of, So do you just kind of play it safe until the next dragon, or do you try to? How do you try to push this lead?
Well, the thing is, you have double teleport, so you can split push 2 lanes at one, and you also have the Spirit with his ulti.
Yeah, and he's trying to make something happen. Unfortunately, he's getting taken out very quick. Diamond actually helping Cabochard get that kill. Meanwhile, Betsy gets a little bit low in the mid lane. That was an interesting decision by Spirit to ult up there.
Not sure what he was planning on doing, though.
Put it that way.
Look at already backed away, didn't use his ulti or anything.
Yeah.
Meaning Gambit can now start pushing him, but I mean, you got double teleport on World Elite, you got a global ulti as well, so you can really spread out this map here very easily for them, and Civi just sitting in the mid lane providing the wave clear, and we have seen how strong Diana is in one-on-ones. You won't beat her with anything on the side of Gambit here. We know Hecarim is going to become a fantastic split pusher, so they don't need to siege on the side of World Elite because they don't have the comp to do it. Instead, split push, use your teleport from the Diana, from the obviously the Hecarim to create like a numbers advantage in one of the lanes later on. Not like Spirit though, where you jump in and your top lane is already running away.
And the problem is for Aluka there that, you know, if you look down, he's picked himself up the home guards obviously to help with those TPs when he comes in, try and get something working with them, but not going directly for a Trinity Force, which, you know, we were saying earlier on, going to be delayed a bit because of the terrible start. I don't want to call it terrible, but he died a couple of times, didn't get much farm. Wasn't a good start for him either way, but he's still way off getting that Trinity Force.
We've seen this a couple times in Korea and in other regions too, where they do get that early home guard, and the idea is that when you hit those objectives, when you find those team fight opportunities, you can get them there really fast with Hecarim. So it's a trade a lot of Hecarims have been wanting to make. You do get that less damage, but if you can get the positioning, if you can get the flank, it can be worth it in a team fight.
Yeah, and you got to realize as well, the rest of your members are fairly fed at this point. Your Sivir and your Diana in the mid lane have 3 kills each, so you don't really need to deal the damage anymore. You got the Phage, which will give you some more movement speed. That works well with your passive. You're going to get the home guard as well for the engage, and you're just going to be more of a tank now, which is perfectly fine because your carries are doing well, and you know your composition is about hard engaging onto Gambit every time. Like a Twisted Fate, what is he going to do? If there's no Black Shield on him, and the Hecarim ults onto him, he's going to be feared. He's going to die right after from Diana here. So I really like the pickup, and I like the fact he's not just rushing blindly that Trinity Force, making him extremely weak for potential fights.
True enough, Gambit manages to grab their own blue buff. Baron entering the map, but probably won't see any action for a while yet, of course. And WE, you know, we talked about what they can do to get ahead. They've been just kind of doing that. They've been sort of maintaining their lanes, finding fights when they can. You know, sometimes Spirit goes in and dies, but aside from that, it hasn't been bad.
No, and you can see how they're splitting up in 1-3-1. Hecarim is down now farming the Wolf camp, but he was just in the top lane beforehand. You got the double teleport ready. Even Spirit can join whatever lane he wants to. No tunnel, however, on the top side of the map for him at the moment. But no, just split it up here. Don't allow Gambit to sit with the Twisted Fate in mid lane, just wave clear all the time. And also, if TF ever tries to gank a lane, you can very quickly join in with 2 or 3 guys because of your globals, meaning Betsy doesn't really have anywhere to go unless Gambit creates a big numbers advantage in one of the lanes, but that opens up World Elite to just push elsewhere, because if you see 5 guys from Gambit suddenly ganking the bottom lane, well, you just push mid or top lane and you trade that for a tower.
And they've outdone them here, to be honest, with positioning as well. A lot quicker to get down that bottom side. Hook did actually land there onto Mystic, but he spell shielded up just in time, and that tore it down to half HP.
And this is what happens when you control all 3 lanes and you push them up to the tier 2 towers, because it allows you to simply walk into the enemy jungle. You know they're not going to be sitting there because you can see them defend at the tower, so you get full information, you get the deep wards to spot if there's any flanks coming in, and it just allows you to quickly move between the lanes because you can go through the jungle, where Gambit has to run all the way around through their own inhibitors possibly, and then down to the tier 2 towers. So you'll always get a few hits, especially with the likes of Sivir, to really fast push the lanes as well and just go in there. So I like the way they're playing it, not allowing Gambit to wave clear and just keep putting pressure on every single lane.
Yeah. Well, some pings going down near Baron. WE thinking about adding some vision now to the pit to just get a little bit ready for that maybe in a few minutes. Dragon, of course, up in less than a minute as well, too. So this is kind of what WE has been waiting for. And this is kind of becoming a crucial moment for Gambit. I feel like they can't really give up too many more objectives. This Dragon, even though it would only be the 3rd for Gambit, is starting to get a bit scary as well. So I think if Gambit's going to try to fight something, would you agree this is maybe kind of the best time to try it? Whoa, Betsy getting very low in the meantime.
At least for Gambit, I mean, what they have to do here is try and keep wards in their own jungle so they can spot the quick rotations coming and try and defend their towers while you wait for key items. You need Hourglass for Carbo Shot, first of all, if you want to fight. You got it for Betsy now as well, so now he can engage in. So those 2 items have just been completed. That opens up for Gambit to take a potential 5-on-5 team fight, but only if they have enough vision to start the fight itself and not just risk running down in a choke point against a Hecarim ulti and a Diana jumping in, and then suddenly you're just dead.
That's a good point.
Oh, they know that these guys are here. There is the Destiny going to be popped. They're going to come in on top of Shia. He actually will flash that one. Will use an early Zhonya's, and that means that Eddie misses the hook. Shia will turn things around. Can he take Betsy down? No, he can't. All 5 of Gambit collapsing on top of him.
And look at the mid lane.
Almost took Betsy, but the push is real there. We have Mystic pushing up, and that tower is going to take heavy damage.
Heavy damage. The teleport being used by Carbo Shot to try and defend it. 3 guys from World Elite, while Spirit is taking Dragon.
Well, WE manages to take that turret. They take the Dragon, and if you look at the summoners and the ults used by Gambit in that kill, they use basically everything.
Everything, and all 5 members. So Dragon gone, mid tower as well.
Boy.
Diamond.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
that's a few critical hits right there.
Running into Mystic there, who's got himself Phantom Dancer Infinity Edge.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be able to escape, even though you've got your pounds. And that will be kill number 7 on the board. The 4th, actually, for Mystic. Funnily enough, it's the 2 new guys into the WE team for this tournament that are currently moving out ahead with the kills. 4-1-1 on Mystic, 3-1-1 on Shia, and now they're moving down towards what would be turret number 5 if they can finish it off, which they will do here. And Eddie needs to back away. I'm not sure why he's going to stay.
Wow, well, Luca just using the ult there to make sure that they can pick up that kill on Edward. Gold card loaded up by Betsy, but they're not going to get close enough to really use it. And WE is starting to look a bit like a steamroller here, just slowly grinding the life out of Gambit Gaming.
Just playing it so well, honestly.
Yeah.
Using all these globals they have. We saw how many guys Gambit needs to invest into killing one person because they know there's the risk of Spirit coming up there or the teleport from either Hecarim or Diana as well to join in. So you can't just go 2v1. That's not going to work for you. And really, it's so tough. Gambit, honestly, going to have to sit back, ward up their own jungle and try and create a pick in there. If they see someone from World Elite walking on their own, then you quickly collapse. You got the stun from a TF, you got the binding from Morgana, so you can lock down a target, get a quick kill where you don't have to move too far away from your lanes, because then suddenly we're gonna see the same push as before from World Elite, where they just go on the opposite side of the map and take a tower from you.
Yeah, and we're at that position where there's not really that much left on the map. Pinoy might get caught out here. Shia is surely going to finish him off. The ulti came out of Pinoy, but nowhere near enough damage to finish off Shia, and that will be a kill number 4 for Shia, and I think they're just going to turn and go straight towards Baron. They are.
Yeah, they are, I guess, with no AD carry. This still seems a bit risky, though. Betsy using that ult to spot people out. Cabo Card with the stun over the wall. Luca taking a lot of damage.
He's going in.
He got it!
Oh!
Diamond steals the Baron, but how many are Gambit gonna lose on the way out? The box dropped by Edward to try to stop the engage from WE. It's not gonna save Betsy. They got some kills off of it, but Baron kept away from WE. Oh, Edward exhausted. It looks like with that flame, maybe no, he's not gonna make it out. So Baron denied to WE, but they lost people on the way out. We'll see if WE is able to take any objectives off this.
This is the best Diamond could have done there.
Yeah.
Got the steal. Sadly for him, the rest of Gambit was staying nearby. I think Eddie was trying to throw him a lantern, see if he could like jump in, steal it, take the lantern out, but simply meant the World Elite with so much mobility when you have Sivir, Hecarim. I mean, you're going to catch people left and right here if they're getting caught out. So.
Oh, Pinoy getting knocked up here as well. This could be really bad for him. There's the ulti in, but actually getting away with that one.
That was the fastest Hecarim retreat I've ever seen, actually.
Yeah, the horse was not that amazing.
Nope.
This time around.
Look at that horse. That horse is not amazing.
All right, so let's see. Diamond goes in for the steal. It's a 50-50, I guess, for him with the black shield already. I want to see if Eddie was there with the lantern. Yeah, there you go. Lantern. So that was the setup.
Yeah.
But then because Betsy and Coppershot is there as well, and we just talked about Sivir ulti, Hecarim, everything, you will not be able to run away from this comp, and that's why they end up dying, despite getting that Baron.
Yep.
So where does that leave us then? 46 to, let's call it 40,000 gold in favor of WE. 12-5 up in kills, 6-1 in turrets though. That's what's really costing Gambit a lot here. We'll see how moving forward they can do anything about this with a ridiculously fed Diana and Sivir. Certainly going to be hard. As we've seen, they can just charge at you from every angle.
Yeah, well, 6-1 turrets right now, and I mean, if you look at the wards around the map, WE has done a very good job of just completely taking control. Like, Gambit can't go anywhere outside their base without WE knowing about it.
No, it's going to be a little bit harder now for World Elite to push the last few towers because you no longer have that advantage of the enemy jungle where you can move faster between. But yeah, Gambit doesn't really have anywhere to go. They're going to be stuck in their own base. Dragon is going to come up again. You can just go for the 5th one and then you can go for a dive. We even see a Luca. Because they got so many kills, he even got that Trinity Force. But now, let's see what Gambit can do.
Yeah, he throws a gold card immediately, popped out Zhonya's. Meanwhile, Gia coming in, doing a lot of damage to Diamond. Nice knockup by Yisa. Gia's going to chase, and there's another kill on the Betsy. They're just so far ahead right now. Gia, can he get another one on a Diamond? He uses his Zhonya's Onslaught of Shadows over the wall just to get in there. Cabo Card in a little bit of trouble.
Oh, he survived.
Oh, Luca missed it coming in. He is going deep, but that's a double kill. Worth, all caps, type it.
3 for nothing there in the end. Spirit ridiculously low, gets away. Went back home, didn't fully regen. Actually, I don't even know if he went back there, but came back in for this one. It looks like WE with 3 men down are going to look to take at least an inhibitor from this one. The turret is going to go down. There's a TP actually coming in as well. So we're going to have Gia in there, and we just saw how long he can survive. Diana got a lot of damage. He's pretty damn tanky as well at this point, and this should be 2 inhibs for WE.
Yeah, looks that way. So who needs Baron anyway, right? WE just able to win a team fight down in bot lane, take 2 inhibitors off of that. And keep in mind, that started from Gambit. That was a play attempt made by Diamond and Betsy that just kind of went sour. They have to try something at this point in the game, but it's just a little bit too late.
Again, as you said yourself, they had to try, honestly. You can't just sit back in your base. You're going to lose to it in terms of dragons anyway. Let's see if they want to get more here. Diana is still very, very tanky. We keep talking about how good she is in the current meta with these builds, Abyssal Scepter, Hourglass. I'm a bit of a bruiser jumping in with a lot of damage with your passive as well. Gambit though, they want this dragon.
Yeah.
And Luca is going to come with Home Guard TP behind him, however. Let's see if he can pull it off. He's going to ping. He's ping on the map. We can see it.
Here comes the teleport. Get ready for that onslaught of shadows. And he's going to come right down through the middle. Jumps onto Betsy. First of all, there's a nice knockup coming in from Jana Mystic. Getting in position. He's a bit low. Diamond getting into the back line. Shuts down Mystic. So this fight may not go as well for WE as they wanted. Looks like they won't need their AD carry, though. Kills all over the place. A double kill for Aluka. Kawakar just going to teleport back. He's got to try to save his base because he and Diamond are all that stands between WE and survival in this tournament.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that they can really hold on to this one, really. We'll see about it as Diamond is going to join into this one. Wonder if they've got the damage to finish this one off with not having Mystic there. They're certainly going to try. That's it, focusing on towards Diamond. He will flash away and gets back onto the fountain, but the first Nexus turret is going to go down. WE looking for victory right here. Thresh is going to come back up. Can Eddie be a hero for Gambit? I think it's too little too late for them. WE down to half HP. They'll manage to finish off the Nexus and win the game to keep their hopes alive here in the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship.
And WE moving on, Gambit Gaming out of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships. WE just had control of that game from second one, it seemed like, and they just never let up.
Now, we saw Gambit try and make some plays early on, and every time they just seemed to lack one or two guys there. I'm not sure if it was miscommunication for them, but World Elite punished them. The two new guys on the team obviously did really well. And look at Pinoy here. I mean, he had so high expectations for him and the team.
That's tough. I mean, I don't think a lot of people expected them to go out 0-2, but, you know, at the end of the day, that's what happened.
That means that tomorrow, WE will be taking on CJ Entus for the second spot in Group B. And of course, that will set either of these teams up for a semi-final showdown against the GE Tigers. Doesn't matter who goes through from that. I think it's going to be an incredibly, incredibly tough game from what we've seen over the past months and, of course, here today. But either way, World Elite bouncing back. Honestly, I wasn't sure how they were going to perform here against Gambit, but pulling it out in the last minute.
Yeah, that was a great performance. They really used the teleport so well. Spirit's ulti, okay, we didn't get to see it too often, but just their 1-3-1 split push they could do. There was no targets for Betsy on this Twisted Fate here. And we saw Luca. He started out having this Phage into somewhat tanky. Then suddenly he got like 3 towers in a row. He got a few kills. He went straight for that Trinity Force after. And suddenly he could also come in and get a double kill in the end.
Well, good win for WE. We're going to head over to the expert desk to break down that victory.
Thank you very much, guys. We are going to break it down. The first thing we're going to break down is Diamond's build with Crumbs. Take it away.
All right, well, Skirmisher Saber, not a good idea, especially on Italy. You're a poke champion, you know, Skirmisher Saber, you should probably not even look at that item on pretty much any other champion ever. Really? It's not really a good build, Skirmishers, please.
Let's theorize.
Well, but see, the thing is...
Actually, the only time that I thought it was good would be in the Cloud9 game where the Rek'Sai split pushing against a Zed, a melee champion, the Skirmishers would come in really handy, but unless you plan on taking on the Diana 1v1 for the entire game...
Cougar form is melee, Crumbs.
Yeah.
Don't. Well, you can take the theory part of that one. But,
on a more serious note, though, Diana won with the same summoner spells, but I feel like Gambit, we said before that WE was playing like a solo Q team in the last game, and Gambit didn't know what to do mid. WE know exactly what to do with their lead in the mid game, and Gambit just fell completely apart and found their skirmishes where they shouldn't.
Well, I mean, if you do have that teleport coming in on the Diana, it just depends on whether the team overextends so you can actually pick up those kills. And I think that's exactly what we saw. But it's I think against a really top tier team, that's not really going to happen quite so much. And I think it was the really heavy skirmish style of this game that allowed it to be more successful.
Yeah, and something that worked into favor of World Elite is the fact that they had 3 globals. 2 teleports in your solo lanes, as well as Rek'Sai with that Void Rush. So there was a number of teleports that were questionable, but then there was more teleports that were good, simply because of the fact World Elite had more tools at their advantage. If you can fling more weapons at fights and you have more fights, whoever can fling more weapons is going to come out ahead. And that's basically what happened. Gambit got bullied around the map. There was mistakes on both sides of the Rift, which you can't deny. But once World Elite got ahead, they did play aggressively, and that's a 30-minute win. It's relatively quick if you actually look at the big picture of the day. So I think credit to World Elite.
I mean, I think if we were talking about who can fling more, then it really shows how Stone Age perhaps the game was. But I think one of the most disappointing things is the fact that they did put Cabashard on the Morgana top, and you saw that even though he had a good lead in the beginning, you're not able to punish a Luca. And Luca looked really lackluster in the Heck Room, not able to really find many good teleport plays, not really do all that much. Like, to be honest, he was kind of showing up and just saying, like, I'm part of it. Like, yeah, I'm in the winning picture. And an Aurelia pick, to be honest, an Aurelia pick I would have really liked that just forced the split push, and an Aurelia would have been able to deal with Diana very well.
The thing about the top Morgana, too, is when you have all that AP, but you're going up against a very mobile WE composition with a Sivir. So you're not going to land damage, per se, unless you can catch them with the Sivir ult down. And it's such an ineffective pick in teamfights right here. Basically, you're hoping that you can set up a pick with a Dark Binding, or that you have some insane Black Shield, but the ult unlikely to really be that successful, and of course neither is the W's, the Tormented Soil.
No, I'm a bit disappointed in Gambit, I have to be honest, but good on WE for getting their advantage and pulling it through. Let's take a look at the playoff picture here in Group B as we have finalized all our matches for today, at least, to see what's coming up.
So, Team Solar Mid 2-0 in the groups. They're obviously going to that semi-final in the higher seed position. And with the fact that Gambit have now lost 2 games in a row, it does mean that they are out. So the 2 remaining teams from this group is CJ Entus and Team World Elite. They will play tomorrow, and the winner will then face off against GE Tigers in a semi-final. It's a very difficult bracket if they want to try and make their way towards the World Championship final.
Yep, and to wrap things up, let's also take a look at the bracket for Group A, the games that were played here earlier today and how everything looks like there.
Yeah, so this side of the coin, GE Tigers 2-0. Team that got knocked out earlier was, of course, Cloud9 going 0-2. So one respective LCS team is out. SK Gaming will have a chance to take on Yowie Flash Wolves tomorrow in another rematch. It was fairly convincing, fairly one-sided earlier today. And of course, the winner of SK Yowie Flash Wolves will play TSM. And that is also a scary semi-final opponent. TSM look very prepared, and they look very on the ball at this tournament.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And I think they just have a more strategic depth than we've seen from Yowie or SK. I think SK is really going to depend on how they can adapt to the bans that GE levied at them in that game. That could be a roadmap for success for other teams. But I mean, if I have to look at it early on in this one, to me, it's looking more and more like a GE TSM final.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's what we talked about earlier today. In terms of who is performing today, based on the best of 1 double elims, it does appear to be TSM and GE, but it is a very unforgiving format. There's no room for error.
Yeah, it's a volatile format to be sure, so having your predictions based off of these best of 1s can be a bit difficult. So we'll see how the teams can do tomorrow, and then I'm excited to get into the bracket stage and start seeing some best of series where we see some more in-depth adaptations.
Yeah.
Strategic diversity.
Strategic diversity, one of the buzzwords.
Don't forget the trinkets.
Don't forget the trinkets. We'll see how everything progresses here tomorrow. If you missed any of the games, there are a lot of recaps up over on thescoreesports.com, so you can go and check that out. I want to thank you guys for joining me here on the desk, and for now, we're going to send it over to Chobra, who's standing by with WE support.
As we wrap up day 1, we still have that winners interview here for the last match of the day, the losers match of Group B. We did have Team WE taking that victory, and now we'll have a chance to talk to Yutze, the support player for WE. First up, you guys had a really tough loss in Game 1 against TSM, and in a tournament setting like this, bunch of best of 1s, you got to fight to get out of the group. How did you recover to prepare for the losers match?
你第一场比赛跟 TSM 输了，可能有点可惜，可不可以给我们分析一下你们是怎么样才恢复状态？
第一场我们都太紧张了，然后就是我们在失败以后，我们队员互相鼓励，然后争取第2场的胜利。
So in the first game, we were all really nervous, and after the game, we tried to we tried to cheer each other up and played a lot better as a result.
Sounds good. I'm glad you guys were able to just come together as a team. Now, something that's caught everyone's eye is that Diana pick, but not just the pick, but the teleport on Diana in both games in the mid lane by Shiye. Is this a strategy you guys practiced as a team, or is this maybe something that he was just most comfortable with since he was a substitute player coming in?
你们中单选择了 Diana 的她的技能，你们选了 TP 传送。 可不可以给我们分析一下他为什么选 TP 传送？是不是因为他习惯用这种技能，还是因为他以前训练过？
训练过有一部分，然后还有另一部分，就是因为我们临时的换人，所以我们想打后期，然后多了一个 TP 来去和对面打团战。
So we've definitely practiced it before, and the reason why we chose TP is because we want to play towards the late game because we're a relatively new team with the new players, and that was our goal for the game.
All right, well, it worked out in your second game, leading you to this deciders match tomorrow in day 2. It will be up against CJ Entis. How prepared are you to fight for that spot in the semifinals?
你们明天要打 CJ， 你们有信心吗？可以赢？
我们有信心赢，然后目前我们是把自己当下的比赛做好。
Alright, so we definitely have a lot of confidence that we'll win the game. And before this, actually, we wanted to just play well for our next game.
Sounds good. Well, we'll all be looking forward to those decider matches tomorrow. Congratulations once again to Team WE for making it to that final match in Group B. This was it for day 1 here in Katowice for the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. Be sure to tune in tomorrow to find out who's going to the semifinals and who's going towards that cup. We'll see you guys tomorrow in day 2.